There we go.
Okay, so we're gonna do the second episode of Chatting Through the Void. I'm Alex Chikorita, and my co-host is Angie. She's amazing, but we're gonna call her Tiny Fast Legs from here until her half marathon.
Let's aim to live up to that new name.
No aiming, we're living up to that. That's it.
Cool. Okay, what the thinker thinks, the prover proves.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna talk about. So basically, we're talking about like what you think is what you experience.
Yeah.
Can you dive a little bit more into that?
So I often talk about having a genie inside of us, and this genie inside wants to please. The only thing is, this genie doesn't process negatives. So it wants to please you. So when you're thinking about what you don't want, or what's difficult or hard, then that's what you get more of, because the gene is not hearing the don't bit. It's just hearing like, I don't want to struggle with this race.
Yeah, so you're focusing like on the lack, like
that's right. That's it. So what the thinker thinks, the prover proves. So the genie inside you wants to please you, but it's literally taking notice of what you're asking for. So it doesn't process negatives.
like
So
what I would highlight here is like the way we actually speak has a great impact on how we think and how we experience things, or how we experience a reality, right? Like people are not aware of it, but it's like this really tiny details of how you speak to yourself can make a really huge difference in your life.
Yeah.
Like tiny example, like you can have like even at work, like I don't want to go to work, even if like that alone already condition you to have like a bad experience. Like you might not like it, but if you wake up and say like it's gonna be a good day, that's it. Like it doesn't matter where you're going, right?
And we all have moments where however much we love our work or whatever we're doing, we don't always want to do it. It's like much rather go and play at the beach or something. So even myself, sometimes I'll be driving up to the retreat where I work sometimes, and it's like, oh, I'm tired, I've got this on, I've got that on, or whatever, and I catch myself. And then when I catch myself at that moment, it's like I'll take a breath and I'll start thinking deliberately on how much I love what I do, and I don't actually work because I love what I do, and that I wonder what interesting guests I'm going to meet today, and how it's going to flow beautifully, and it shifts my whole demeanor and my mindset, and it puts me into that frame of mind to have a good day. But it's catching it, like you say, I hear it so easily in other people. It stands out, but in ourselves it can trick us.
It's very conscious work. It's like if you actually want to change your life, it's just not wishing to do it. It's not enough. You actually gotta take action and do like the daily work. And like with the thoughts, it's the thing that these thoughts can create emotions, right? So like something I've been doing lately is like, what emotion do I want to feel, right? So it's like, oh, I want to feel, I don't know, excitement or joy or whatever. So what thought is gonna get me that emotion? So then I create this thought that's gonna give me this emotion, and that way I can attack whatever activity in the future with this emotion. So I'm already living the emotion I want to feel.
That's beautiful, because emotions are amplifiers of
Yeah.
the state. So yeah, if you're thinking, feeling uncomfortable, then that's also a feedback loop, because if you're feeling bad, it's a feedback. It's telling you about the quality of your thinking. So that emotion, it's like, what would you rather be feeling? So that you're explaining there, just change that thought to a thought that relates to the emotion that you want to feel, like excitement. Like it's one of the things I used to explain about anxiety years ago, and it makes such sense, is like excitement and anxiety have a similar symptoms. So you might as well be feeling excited rather than anxious about the thing, whether it's a presentation or on a simplified note. I'm not talking like well, whatever. I don't have to limit it, really. It's just changing what we're doing on the inside. Change that thinking, and it changes your reality or your sense of
Yeah,
reality.
yeah, it's like we gotta go back into regaining like this power of not letting all these outside factors affect like how we feel and our emotions and our reality and stuff, because in the end we create our reality based on our emotions, our thoughts, and our actions.
Yeah.
And that's up to us, not up to what's happening like around us. So it's like taking the I'm going to go back to taking responsibility. Once you take responsibility and you stop blaming like everything on the outside and stop playing the victim,
Yeah.
and you start playing like the main character, and you're actually taking like the steps to do it, then you can like catch yourself into like negative thoughts or emotions. And it's not like just being like super positive and cheerful, it's just like not allowing it to drown yourself. If you have like a negative thought or whatever, it's not just like pushing it away. Maybe you can analyze it and say like, okay, why am I having this negative thought? Is it because I don't feel worthy? Is it because I'm like in this toxic trait? Is it because like what do I gotta work on? And
Yeah.
now that you know what you have to work on, then you, okay, what emotion do I want to have to be able to work on this? Maybe it's courage, maybe it's curiosity, I don't know, something that this new self, like this new you that you're creating already has the power to do it. So like it's not pretending to be someone you're not, it's just getting the emotions of this new person that you're becoming that's going to be able to break this negative cycle.
And also when you're attaching, it could be that you actually have already got that inside of you in other contexts, or you've done it before, but you're not applying it now. So it could be attaching to that emotion that's already there inside you into this thing that you've got something other thinking to help you to step into that reality. And there's so much I just love our conversations, but it's like we experience life as we are, not as it is. So, and it's not that bad stuff doesn't happen either. It's like it's not always about thinking positive, like something bad happens. It's about but how we experience moment to moment, whatever's going on depends on what we're doing from the inside. So, like, I don't know, you could slip on a banana skin and fall over, and you could see it as a bad thing, or you could look at what's the learning in this, you know. So it might be that you might break your arm, go to hospital, and meet the love of your life. Who knows? I'm going a bit out there now with it, but it's like whether we see something as a bad thing, as a good thing, depends on our thinking in the moment. So, like, my brother died almost 7 years ago now, and it was obviously, I miss my brother. It was really sad. It was quite, I had a brain tumor. It was quite quick, within weeks. Now, even then, I'm like, now, even then, I remember leaving after I stayed an extra week because my brother was in England and died the day I was due to fly home, all very fast. I'm sure it was all arranged somewhere. But I stayed an extra week and I was with my family, and we had some absolutely wonderful, amazing, magical moments within the sadness and the tears, with lots of laughter. And when I was leaving, I said something to my sister-in-law, which sounds absolutely terrible, but fortunately she got it and we both laughed, because I said I wouldn't have missed this for the world. It sounds terrible. My brother's just died, but she got it because it was the connection and the love, and it, in one instant I could feel really sad and like it's unfair and life, this shouldn't happen. But then I could look at how lucky I was to have my brother and the connection that we have, and the family. And so again, it's what thoughts am I paying attention to? I'm in and out of them, like we all are. But we can choose to sort of, when we're not choosing it, I guess, in a lot of cases, to sort of roll around in the mud and feel sorry for ourselves, or we can sort of do something to get out of it, which is change what we're doing in here.
Yeah, and also it's like this thing like we sometimes we believe like everything needs to be like light all the time, and impossible. That's not perfect balance. In order to be like light, you need like darkness, right? So you need chaos actually to be able to be peaceful, and getting to the state of where you can actually be aware of your thoughts, and having the capability of creating your own emotions and deciding. It's not about being all the time at like in this super cheerful state of life. It's just about like being at peace even when everything's chaotic around you. So it's
Yeah.
like being able to, yeah, to have peace when things are going awesome and when things are going like really chaotic. I'm not gonna say bad because that's just a perspective. So just more chaotic.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And like finding like, I think like that's also something like we need to have as a goal, instead of just getting more and more and more and feeling unsatisfied. Is just about finding peace. And once we shift this like perspective of what I'm lacking, and we shift it on what I have, like if you could have like seen it like I'm lacking like having my brother here with me, and instead you decided like what I have is this beautiful reunion with my family.
Mm. Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
moment you stop seeing what you lack and you start feeling grateful for what you have, then you have peace.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can be in like chaos and have peace in that chaos. And I guess, there's one of the books that I read years ago that sort of points to sort of this is Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. Have you ever come across that book? And he's in the Holocaust, and I can't imagine anything worse that he experienced in his life. But he had the ability to be able to, well, he survived, but he saw, his family die. He didn't know whether he'd live to the next day or whatever. It was horrible circumstances. But the one thing that they couldn't take from him was his attitude. And I think with his attitude, it was the thoughts. It goes back to how, even when it was horrible, taking yourself to a place in your mind where you've got that peace. I admit it takes. I can't even imagine what it must have been like. But where did that? What really excites me even more is that where it comes from to be able to do that comes from something that's not thought, doesn't it? It comes from something beyond thought that gives us
Yeah.
that ability to survive.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, we could get like into a lot of like terms there. People use a lot of terms to what's beyond, but it's still like people like we go to beliefs, like people like to surrender and accept and believe into something greater. And they also forget the fact that you need to accept and believe and surrender to yourself, because
Yourself.
there's something greater inside of you as well.
That is where sort of what I'm pointing to.
Yeah. So it's like you gotta like take ownership of the power that's within you. Like I think like that's something like people struggle with, and it's not that they don't want to get better. It's not that they don't want to get out of a struggle or whatever. It's that sometimes they've been through so much that they fail to acknowledge and remember the power inside of them.
Yeah. So being able to access that, even if it's a memory, or even if people don't even realize, if they seem like their life's always been so bad because that's all they can think, they don't realize that as babies that they learned such a lot, but they didn't learn to walk and learn to talk and have these amazing ability to do these things without thought affecting them. That sort of, everybody, no matter how lost they are, has that resilience somewhere inside of them that then they're connected to, that they're not feeling, and when they're feeling lost. I know we're going down a bit of a hole with this one.
Yeah. we got like really chatting through the void on this one. It's like what would you suggest someone that doesn't know how to change, like they're wired, or they learned, they're conditioned to this negative thinking. How would you, what would you suggest to someone that's wired like this to have like the first step towards rewiring themselves?
What I would do is listen to them, and it sounds a bit corny, but I'd be listening for the wisdom in that. I'd be listening for something that they say that points me, that allows me to show them that they've got it inside them. So it's in those moments where we just know something, like through conversation, they might mention an experience, and then I'll ask them, how did you know that? How do you know that? And it's like, so it's getting their mind to think in a different way instead of going down the old negative path. It's like pointing out when and they'll usually say something, well, I don't know, I just do, I just did. And when you say I just did, that's when you know you're sort of close to them getting an insight that is not their usual way of thinking. Sounds a bit cryptic, doesn't it?
I would like, I'll try to decrypt it a bit. Like, it's catching where this negative emotions or thinking comes from. Like, it's not making them realize it's not from them, it's being planted in them. All right, it's like the seed that was planted in them, and now like going like through this planted seed, I would suggest like one thing I do is like I consciously cultivate positive emotions. Like I do it in meditation and stuff, but you could do it like in a notebook or whatever if you're not into meditation yet. Like I'll picture myself in a garden, right? And I'll pick a seed, and I normally start with kindness or gratitude, and I'll plant it, and I'll feel it like going through my whole body, and then I'll leave it there, and I'll cultivate just that, like that emotion for a week, and then the next week I will come and cultivate another emotion. So I'll plant another seed, and then I don't know, I'll plant fascination, appreciation, or abundance, and then I'll cultivate that one for a week. And at the end of that week, I'll cultivate my kindness and my abundance, for an example. So now I have two positive emotions I'm cultivating. And if you're gonna start feeling like the shift because you're consciously working on the positive emotion instead of just like being on the autopilot of this negative emotion that has been planted in you. Like it requires hard work because it's something that's been planted on you since you were born or since you were very young or on all these forming years, right? And it's not your fault that you grew in this environment. But now that you're older and you realize that you have control over your life and your thoughts and your emotions and everything, then that by itself should empower you to say like, I have control of it, I can do something about it.
Yeah.
And the moment you realize you can do something about it, then you can do like, I can do it. I can do this first step to get out of this life I don't like, or this emotions I don't like, or I don't want to be anxious anymore. Like one question I like asking is like, what would it feel like if you didn't feel anxious anymore and you just felt like the emotion you want to feel? Like picture what would that feel like?
Yeah.
And people normally like, they'll immediately like smile, or you'll see like a sense of relief.
Yeah.
And then since now they've lived the emotion they want to live in the future, now you got this anchor of what you're going forward to. Because sometimes it's hard to look like to expect life's gonna be better if all we've experienced is hardships. But if we start like planning this emotion that this is how you're gonna feel in the future, because it's possible,
It's
then people like, it's possible, right? So there's like
shift.
hope.
That's hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. And it is having them thinking, it's still coming from inside of them, isn't it? It's like, but they've not had access to that until you've pointed them in that direction to feel that.
Yeah, you're not like teaching or planting or doing anything.
No.
You're just a guide, and they're gonna discover the paths. Yeah.
That's
Like
it.
you're just saying like it's there, like the power is there to take it. Like go get it.
Yeah. And it's just that one step or one thought that can make such a difference to their whole perspective from that they've not done that up to this moment in time and realized there is an option, there is a choice, there is a new way of being, different for everybody.
Like there's a choice. Like this is not how you're stuck in forever. Maybe if like you want something different, there's actually something better for you.
Yeah.
And you have the power. Like I think that's the most important thing, that it's not somewhere out there. It's not an event that's going to come from an external thing. It's not someone. It's you. It's you. It's inside you, and it requires action, it requires work, but you gotta remember that you're the most valuable thing, so you're actually worth it. I think like this is also super important, knowing that you're worth it.
Yeah, because a lot of people think they don't deserve it, they don't, you know, they're unlovable, they're unworthy, or so it's like the challenge is to for them to see that who they are is much more than they think they are, and that they're accessing that space inside of them that's going to help them get that feeling of worth, of value, you know, and that it's what they've thought wasn't true. It never was true. It's just what they've learned, is the conditioning through their experience.
Yeah, it's a conditioning. Yeah, it's like, and since you've been conditioned, you can recondition yourself to something different.
Yeah, it's like a phone, you know, like an iPhone. You could take it back to the factory and get it reset to like default, you know. And I sometimes say that with hypnosis. It's like or an NLP, whatever. I've not said this for a while, but I used to say it a lot. It's like reprogramming your brain. Like you know, sometimes we take, you know, sometimes the stuff, the programs get corrupt, sometimes they get outdated, like sort of a metaphor for like a computer. And so it's like you can take the computer in and then you can update the software, and it's a bit like what we're doing inside the brain. I used to use that metaphor quite a lot. In fact, I've forgotten about it, I haven't used it for a while, but sort of like an NLP sort of metaphor, because it's like working at the structure of thought and how we think. But it's simple, but it is true, isn't it? Because it's like, it's only from being tiny then we start, through our experiences and through the thoughts we're paying attention to, that we form our beliefs, you know, we form our values, we form our ideas about what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad. We form our sense of identity of who we think we are, but it's not who we are. Who we are is much more. And that's...
Yeah, and it's the sense of like this, I have like this big conflict with, like, some people believe they are this thing, and it's not even what they believe they are, it's what people believe they are, and now they got to live to these expectations of what other people believe they are. So you got all this other pressure of being this person that people think you are,
and not living it. You're not living your life, you're living what somebody else's expectation is for you to live your life. Like lots of people who go on to be doctors or I don't know, lawyers or whatever, and really they want to be an artist. It's like they're not living their life, they're living their life that's expected of them. Or is that where you were pointing in
yeah. And like also like this, if you go back to remembering that your thoughts, your beliefs, and your emotions create your reality, and then you remember that my reality is not your reality, then why would you have this pressure of like other people's views of you? Because in the end, no one's actually going to see you like you actually think you are, because they don't think the same way you think, and they don't perceive you the same way you perceive the world.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah.
So yeah, like
we don't know what other people are thinking. We're not in other people's minds.
Like we don't know how they're perceiving the world, like what their beliefs are, what their like core structure is, and whatever. Because they can share some things, but that doesn't mean you get the privilege or whatever to be in their mind and actually see how they perceive the world. So
Yeah.
like that alone should give you so much freedom.
Mhm.
Like,
Free to just be
because
you because,
yeah,
you
because
know,
that means like like if you're different, like you can like give this access to people to have even, well, if they're open-minded or whatever, they'll have more perspective, right? So your reality like grows instead of being like a bit more narrow. So you got more, I don't know, like you expand or whatever, like you get more gigas into your brain. So like yeah, we're seeing like a machine. It's like you're getting more space, like to
yeah,
be able to process more stuff.
anything's
So yeah,
possible. Anything's
exactly.
possible. It's like going back to Alice in Wonderland, isn't it? Like, um, uh, it's like impossible. It's like Alice does. I've done six. I can't remember how it goes. I've 6 impossible things before breakfast. It's like, and I'm possible. It's like anything's possible.
Yeah, and like everything that is isn't, and everything that isn't is. So yeah, it's basically like that.
All I need to
Or
do
like
is take action and just make my legs go a bit faster, and they can do it. It's just the only thing that's
yeah.
been holding them back is my perception of how fast my legs go, and my legs are going faster every day now.
Now I have a question, like going back to your legs.
Oh no.
What are you afraid of?
What am I afraid of?
Yeah, what's gonna happen once you unleash your legs and you actually allow them to go faster? What's so scary on the unknown side of it?
I don't know. I honestly don't know what's scary about going faster. It might hurt.
There you go.
Don't want it to hurt. Yeah. Then what if it's okay for it to hurt? And that it's all perception anyway, isn't it? It's like, I've already had a shift on this one. It's funny because, and I don't know why or how, the combination of stuff, I don't know, but it's like I just became curious about it rather than, yeah. And it's that I'm curious about, oh, I wonder how fast I can go, how fast my little legs will go. And that shifted that perspective. I've become more curious about it now rather than, it sounds daft fearing it, but fearing it might hurt, I guess. Yeah,
But maybe it's like this comfortable state.
maybe. Maybe I'm just spending a little bit more time with you, and I'm like, I'm taking on a bit of the the thing. It's like I need to sort of model a lot more for these little legs to go like yours.
It's all about curiosity, like
Yeah,
how
it
fast
is. I
can I
love.
go today? How
Yeah,
far can I go today? It's
yeah,
fun. Like it's like one thing I've learned, like in not just in running, but in everything. It's like sometimes like we have like this break, like I don't want it to hurt, I don't want it to be hard, I don't want it like like this uncomfortable thing.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then now I like want to be there as fast as I can, so I'm like ready for it. So it's like I want to get into the chaotic moment and see how can I handle it. And like running wise, you gotta learn, right? So you just don't go off bunkers and burn out and bunk. But like in everything in life, is like if you're
Test it.
accepting instead of resisting
Yeah,
whatever comes, then it becomes easier, right? Because if it's not like you're not avoiding it. If it comes, great. If it doesn't come, even better. But if
yeah,
it comes, I can handle it.
yeah. And the more that you do it, the you keep moving them goalposts. It's like, well, what was it? What was I can do that? Not what I mean. I'm talking my level here, like running on a 10 on the treadmill. It's like, well, what was I thinking? It's not that difficult. But for ages, I've like, yeah, I've put it in the too hard box. It's like it might hurt. It's too hard. Stay
You're
in.
labeling. You're labeling. Yeah, and that like what that's one of the things like I need to consciously work on like not labeling stuff if it's easy, hard, good, bad, whatever. And once
Yeah,
I take the label of it and it's just
It just
It
is.
just is what it is. Exactly. If it just is what it is, then you're gonna handle it, and that's it.
And
It
that's
doesn't
not just
matter.
in
You're just
running,
gonna handle it.
it's in everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just gonna handle it.
Yeah.
It is. And yeah, it's funny how in certain contexts I do that, and then certain other contexts I've got the labels.
Because I think like it's like in certain things we go more into like autopilot, and we're like conscious of other stuff instead of like maybe the simplest stuff is the thing that we're labeling that's like getting you stuck.
Okay.
And then like you can change it, or like I'm gonna go back like to your personality. You can label it like this is how I am, and that's why you're stopping. That's not true. Like your personality, like your person slash reality is created by you every single day. Sure, you got traits, and sure, you got habits, but can you modify them? Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God.
Because like we're creatures of change, and we're capable of like every single day that you wake up, you're a totally different person. It doesn't matter what you did yesterday. It doesn't matter what you did years ago. It doesn't matter like flaws and accomplishments, everything's gone.
Yeah.
Like you just learn, and you just got like new, like an avatar, you just got new skills and toolkits to face the day. Now what are you going to do what you have today, and where do you want to go, and who do you want to be? Like I think that's very important. Every day you wake up, who do you want to be today?
I love that. Who do you want to be? I love
And
that.
that's it.
Yeah.
Because you're not tied to your past to
Yeah.
and this idea of I
Yeah.
am who I am. It's
Yeah.
who do you want to be today?
Yeah.
And bam, you got like a clean slate and endless opportunities.
Yeah. 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 Who do I want to be? It's like free. It's free to be whatever. It's like just I love that. I love that. It's like there's nothing holding me back from doing whatever it is that I want to do. Anything at all, but the limits that I put inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of us.
And being aware that the majority of the time those limits are created by someone else, that they're like acquired.
Yeah.
Because when we're younger, like we're like free and bold, and we want to conquer the world, right? And we
Yeah.
start learning like your parents' fears and your aunt's fear and your friends' fears, and nowadays social media and all this
Yeah.
stuff. Like you also have to be very careful on what you put into your mind, like what you read, who you hang out with, and everything, because you permeate like
Yeah.
with their limits and their beliefs and stuff. So make a conscious effort of what you read and who you surround yourself with, so they elevate you instead of bring you down.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can recognize just in myself really, like things when I have got stuck, that habit of thinking everybody else is better and knows better. And it's like, it's that patterning from being a little girl, it just got in there like, and I know it's not true, but but I recognize when it's there. It's like, I often say it's like a mini me, and she sits on my shoulder and she twitters on, but she's like an annoying sister that I don't pay attention to anymore. But she can still sometimes gets in there, and I'm like, and I know by the emotion, by the way that I feel, and it's like
What's the emotion you get like normally
it's
when
like an anxiety. It's like it's a panicky anxiety. No, the thinking is that I'm not enough. I don't know enough. I'm not qualified enough.
what you do to overcome this, like in the moment, what do you do, like to slap her in the face and quiet her?
It's do you know what? It's almost just realizing it is enough. It's like I realize what I'm doing, and just in that moment of realization, it's like that's freeing on its own. I don't have to do anything. It just, that realization is enough. It's like, oh, just done it again. And then
Uh,
it fades.
what would you do? Like, for example, like now you're conscious of it and you've worked through it clearly because you're
If there
very,
were,
very successful and stuff. But what happens when people hear it, like hear this chatter, this voice of that they're not enough and whatever, and they believe it and they believe it, and like they can be aware of it and they hear it, and it's like, what
like,
would you suggest?
okay, so I'll play, I'll utilize NLP. Sometimes I'll say, well, you know that voice? How are you aware of that voice? Where are you aware? What side of your head is that voice? Is it your voice? And what does it sound like? And then I'll have them, and I always get a laugh with this one. I'll say, have it say something where you feel uncomfortable, you know, like I'm not enough or whatever. And then I'll say, have it sound like Mickey Mouse. And notice what a difference it makes. And you can't take it quite as seriously when it sounds like Mickey Mouse. Or then I will have them slow the voice down and notice how it changes the reaction. Or sometimes I'll have them move the voice because I'll put it onto the end of my thumb or your thumb and then move it away into the distance and notice how it changes that feeling, or shrink it down. So there's all these things. This is NLP, changing the structure rather than, you know, with when I'm talking about how we perceive reality, and that's more about the nature of thought and the facts that we think. Whereas when working at an NLP level, that's changing the computer or upgrading the software. That's like the structure of how we think. So like how we create our world through our senses, what we see, hear, feel, smell, touch, taste. And that's that it really changes quickly. It really changes when you change, like often when you're feeling bad, particularly if there's a, you know, a phobia or something, people see, like if they've got a phobia of a spider, they've got this great big scary spider, like 10 times bigger than it would be in front of the face. And it's not the spider that they're scared of, it's their image, their thinking, their thought of what a spider is. It's not the spider itself, you know. So it's changing that sense of reality they have against that thing, you know. It's like, because the thing that we're scared of is not the thing, it's our thinking about the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever it is. So yeah, so I guess I there is no set way that I would work with anybody, but if it, in that moment when I'm with them, if they're saying something and it just occurs to me, well, that voice, is it your voice? Then I'll just work with that, and it works quite quickly. But yeah, it's like, do you do that sort of thing yourself? Have you tried doing that yourself, for yourself or
I
client?
normally, um, it's not, I normally don't have like a diminishing voice. It's more of like a like a safety type of voice. Like it will stop me to stay in comfort rather than diminishing me.
Ah, right, okay, yeah. Oh,
So I'll normally, like, I don't know if I'm doing like something that's getting me like way out of my comfort zone, like it doesn't matter if it's studying or upgrading like mindset or physical or race wise, whatever. If I get to this point where I'm uncomfortable or like playing with my ego boundaries or something, and I'll get like this comfort of like, you don't need to do it, like this protecting thingy, I'll normally like, I didn't like I didn't like understand it. I was at the beginning, I would just listen. I was, okay, I don't need to do it. And then it was like, well, though I don't need to do it, but then how do I grow, right? So I started like analyzing, like I did start different, like this difference between like
ah.
when you like doing it, is it gonna help me grow? Yeah, okay. So when I get like to this point where you don't need to do it and stuff, I'll start talking nice to myself. Like it's okay, like just focus on what we have right now, like start taking away like this, you don't need to do it. And the first thing I will do is, to whatever voice it is, I'll say, thank you for trying to protect me, but this is okay.
Because
That's
that's
the
its
first
deeper
step.
intention. It's deeper. Is that what is that a knowing that its deeper intention is to protect you?
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, but even it may be physical, it may be psychological, it may be just being trying to protect my ego. So it's like, thank you for
Thank
protecting.
you. Appreciate
I'm
yeah.
okay, I'll handle it. That right. We
Okay,
we
I'm
are
going to say
capable of
something.
handling it.
Just
Yeah.
hang on, because this is intriguing. So there's this voice that's saying it's okay. You don't have to do this, and that's you, and that's your voice. So who is it who's saying who's negotiating?
Myself, but in like this, it's okay, you don't have to do it. It's more like a parental voice, like a taking
Okay.
care of voice. And this okay, I can do it is more of a myself taking action in a kind adventurous way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like yeah, because
So
that's like one.
they're both what does so the one that's taking care of you in a kind, adventurous way, what's its intention? What does that part want for you?
Growth, curiosity, see how far we can go
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
staying in this safe zone.
Yeah.
And but the first thing, like instead of fighting it, like, oh no, here it comes again, I could stop. Instead of like getting into this mental battle, I'll just thank myself for, oh, thank you for trying to take care of myself. Now I'm aware of it, that you're trying to protect me physically or emotionally or whatever, but I can't handle this. Like we can't handle this, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So I switch into this curiosity mode and I start like, you're doing great right now. This is what we have, how far we can push. Let's see how far we can go. Like, let's just focus on how far we can go and start like resetting the mindset, right? I think that's one I have like figured out. And it took me quite some time, but I like,
Yeah.
why am I listening to this? Like, what's the purpose? And it was taking care of myself
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
a not taking care of myself like to avoid danger, but taking care of myself like stay in the comfort. Like this is safe and pretty. Like why would we want to go into the unknown? But that's where growth
I
is,
know
right?
that one.
But and then I have like this other voice that's like, it's weird because I don't tap into it all the time. I'll just tap into it if I've already broken barriers. I'm in way deep into the unknown. And it's like this childlike feels exposed
Okay.
to everything and it will come out and it's like I'll feel like really vulnerable and exposed and I could break easily in every single way, right? Because I'm there in the unknown and it's unprotected and it's everything, and I'll come into in a loving way and saying, I'll normally say it's okay, you're doing awesome, go back.
Oh, go back. Yeah.
And then I'll say it as many times as necessary. I'll be thankful. I'll saying you're doing it's like, I guess it's like part of my child self somewhere in there, like getting into the unknown, learning and getting exposed and stuff. And I'll say, it's okay, you're doing awesome, go back, I'll take care of it. It's okay, you're doing awesome, go back, I'll take care of it. And then I'll purposefully and consciously shift my mindset into what I need at that given moment.
Wow.
So
So
I'll get
you're
back into this.
acknowledging the little exposed
Yeah.
vulnerable girl in you, but it's okay. We've got this. Like, go back.
Yeah, it's not, yeah, like it's not like don't get mad at yourself. It's
No.
not wrong. It's not,
Yeah.
it's part of you and it's okay. It's thank it. Like you're doing awesome.
Yeah.
High
Yeah.
five and now go back. I'll take care of this. Like you can come back later on when it's not so, when you don't
You
feel
know,
so vulnerable.
I got an image then in my mind of this little girl like pulling at you, like, and it's like, it's okay, we've got this. Go back.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like I can put it in my pocket again. We got this.
That's beautiful.
Like it normally comes out when I'm like in awe of the moment where I'm like I've maybe I'm not done, but I've already broken barriers, you know, like we've done so much and this is amazing. Like when I get like all this rush of emotions that I already did something big, but I'm still not done.
Yeah.
So you're like exposed and vulnerable because you're in the middle of the unknown and you're not, because haven't experienced this yet, and you don't know what's coming, and
Yeah.
like you're there into like the void. So it's like in that moment that I think that's when I normally get it, and that's when you got like that. I'll go back to cultivating kindness. You gotta cultivate kindness and be kind with yourself, because it's gonna take you long ways. If you're fighting, if you're constantly fighting with your mind, then you become your worst enemy. And if you're kind with yourself and you acknowledge every single part of you, and
Yeah.
every single part of you is doing their job, then don't get pissed at it. Just say thank you. But maybe this part of me is gonna do a better job right now, but you did awesome. Go
Yeah.
back and I'll take care of this, right? So
Yeah.
be kind to yourself, to every single part of your being, because you're not just one thing. You're the sum of so many things. And if you allow yourself to be so many things, then you're
See,
going to be
that's
so much greater.
that's so beautiful, and that's why I love listening to you. But it's like we're working at that level of the nature of thought rather than the structure of thought. So I learned to work with NLP for years, but like I said, I don't tend to do it so much these days because I'm more interested in working. It's the nature of thought and the fact that we think, and it's like what you're explaining is your experience of how you hear thought and the different parts of you, and how you're accepting and loving and appreciating all that comes up, and then moving forward with curiosity and appreciation, and let's see what else or whatever. It's I love that. I love it. I love that. I love that relationship that you have with you. And all, whatever. I mean, it's like, as a hypnotist, we talk about the collective unconscious as well. I saw something today. I was having coffee on some group site, and it was talking about it's like law of attraction stuff, and it was about miracles, and I can't even remember what I was reading, but I thought I'm going to do that, and it was like tapping into, if there's something that you want to do, and there's somebody gone before you that's been good at that or whatever, then you can have a word with them and you can ask them for help. So it was like one of the guys, a friend of his has died recently, and he was this particular personality, and he says, I'm going to have him on my team. So it's like got a team of these helpers. So I'm like, oh, who can I have on my team? So that I was just over coffee this morning, and it was like, I like that idea of well, and I do it anyway. I talk to my mum all the time. She's been dead 28 years, and my brother. But it was like I saw it in a different way. It was like, okay, Milton Erickson was a really good hypnotist. Now he'd be handy to have on my shoulder.
Yeah,
And
like I do that also. It's like,
yeah, and
for example,
runners, like
yeah, instead
well,
of
in fact,
getting caught up in what you think in this
yeah,
cycle, it's like, what would, I don't know, I use Bruce Lee all the time. What would Bruce Lee think? So how would he address this? So now
yeah.
you have a different perspective, even if it's just you in there.
Even if it's just you, it's still a different perspective, isn't it? Like you, what would Bruce Lee? I love it. I love it. Just sort of, I guess I've sort of been doing this sort of thing, but I like the idea of having this team. So again, it's like, oh, it's so funny because when I first got a Garmin back in 2010, and you give yourself a name, and my name is Zola's Mate, and it was from Zola Budd. Do you remember the runner Zola Budd from when I was a teenager? She was, I think, South African, but she used to run barefoot, and in the days when people didn't run barefoot. So she was well known. She was only tiny, and she used to run like marathons barefoot back in the 70s. She was called Zola Budd. And so
I'll have to look her up. Yeah.
oh yeah, do that. So I think there was some sort of trouble one time that she's I don't know, she was doing some sort of track race, and she was accused of knocking somebody over or whatever. I forget the full
Oh,
story. Yeah, but I think there might have been a bit of jealousy and stuff there as well. But it was just I just thought she was amazing back in the 70s. I wasn't a runner or anything, but I loved that I guess because she was different and she was fast and
Now
different.
you can channel her on your runs.
I've had her in my name on Garmin since 2010, but I've never thought about channeling her till now. So she's going to be on my
Yeah.
team. She'll be on my team.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm going to find some YouTube stuff and really sort of remember her.
Yeah.
Wow.
Time
Wow.
goes really fast when we have a good chat. So yeah.
I was just thinking that. God, forever. But now, well, I've got all these guides now. There'll be no stopping me.
Yeah. So I'm gonna like wrap this one up so we don't go above the hour.
Yeah.
So your thoughts create your experience. Be kind to yourself. If you're like stuck in this loop of your own thoughts, channel someone that you admire, that you would like to be, and think, how would this person address the situation? And then you have a different perspective. And it doesn't need to be just one person. You can have a team, like Angela Now's house has like a 50-person team. It doesn't matter how much how many you need. But these are just tools to help you like reframe your mind.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for another brilliant conversation. I'm going to pause this now.
Yeah.